No, no. I had a motorcycle accident 2 years ago, and in actual fact, I had to give my deposition because I filed a lawsuit against the well-known pizza delivery company that crashed into me, and so they have utterly removed any possibility of me going back to playing rugby, unless I can wear a helmet. No.
Where was this accident?
No, I've already retained counsel. And you'd be too expensive for me.
This guy is really good. This might be very tough. Do you know what kind of pizza they were delivering? I mean, did you get to that level? Is this part of the deposition? Was this a pepperoni special? We're at the Robert Jackson Center, and I know you've written extensively about your intimate role in the creation of the International Criminal Court. What does a Robert Jackson mean to Prince Zeid?
It means you can get somewhere in law without ever having gone to law school, which is precisely what happened to me. Of course, when you hear someone speak, not just so thoughtfully, and his opening statement is well known to people the world over, but it was through his use of language, an exquisite use of language, which you find even perhaps more inspiring today than others would have found, or those who would have heard him at the time would have felt, simply because we don't hear people speak like that anymore. Not even, outstanding lawyers. I mean, with exceptions. And I think the way he couched the case was extraordinary, because there was criticism of the IMT at the time. It was not an easy endeavor to get it up and running. And I think in his opening statement, he provided the foundation for what he was able to accomplish later on. One understands that, yes, of course, during the course of the trial, he made some mistakes, and he compensated for them by using methods which would be very familiar to us now, but maybe at the time were not well established. And so like that, he was breaking new ground. But really, if you think of the tribunal, you think of Robert H. Jackson and how it was really the fulcrum on which world events were shaped.
Talk to me about Jon Stewart. You had an opportunity extraordinaire to be interviewed by Jon Stewart in The Daily Show. What was that all about?
Well, I think you're funnier than he was. But now I've guaranteed that I'll never be invited back on his show. Yeah, I mean, he's a very funny guy, and you sit in front of him, and he just makes you laugh without him even having to say anything. And so, that was fun. I enjoyed it.
What was the context for those who, I did see it on YouTube, what was the context that you were there to be invited to the
it was last minute. His Majesty the King was invited to speak on the show and to introduce this book that he had only recently just completed, and he was basically going to sell the book. I hadn't read the book, and so I was told...
I love those spokespeople, you know.
So I was told 2 days or 3 days before the show was shot, I was told that I had to go, and the King couldn't come, so I had to go instead, and I had to peddle the book. So I got a copy of the book, and I read it twice. I skimmed it first time, and then I read it in detail, and I made all sorts of notes. And I arrive at the studio, and I'm all ready to talk about the book. And the producer said, he's not going to ask you about the book. He wants to ask you about what's been happening in the Middle East over the last 2 or 3 days. And I said, but I don't know anything. I've just been reading the book. I haven't been watching the news. I've just been reading the book. And so that was the quandary I was in. I leave it to the judgment of the viewers whether I did an okay job.
Did he talk to you beforehand? Like, we had such a long discussion, about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, very briefly, he said he was furious he'd never been invited to the Robert H. Jackson Center to speak.
He's good, he's good. When you get done, do you go back to the green room and do you kind of kibitz with Stuart?
Yeah, that's right, that's right. I mean, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
No, you know, what he does is that the show is shot at 6 o'clock. And, you know, his stock and trade is to take one of us public officials and get you to sing. And he'll ask you to do all the, you know, throw these soft lobs. And he'll say something like, you know, so how is the situation in Jordan? And then so I would sit there and say, well, it's very good, peaceful, quiet, calm, you know, all of this sort of thing. And then the show is broadcast, I think, at 11. So between 7 o'clock and 11, they're rummaging through all these newsreels, looking for footage of a Jordanian policeman beating the life out of someone. And here the ambassador saying, you know, it's all quiet and peaceful. And the background utterly exposed. And that's a stock and trade. So I was very careful about how I responded, I think.
At the time, Goldstone became really the first chief prosecutor of an international tribunal with the ICTY, and then Carla Del Ponte and Louise Arbour, and now Serge Brammertz. You want to talk about Serge?
Hey, he's a great guy. Where is Serge? He's a good friend. And I say that because I know he says the same about me, so it's reciprocal.
That was a posted question by Serge. Very good. And they state here that you argued in that speech at Brandeis that the rule of law is essential to make humanity whole following crimes committed against it, but law is not enough. What is? I
think I said it far more eloquently than that. You've butchered my lecture.
No, it's not a quote. It's just it's a report. And I think it was Don Ferrent. See the picture, Don.
Look at that. You got it off the internet.
It's not you. It's Don.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you. What I tried to argue is that I think ending impunity is not enough. It's not enough that we just punish people. We have to somehow make them see what it is that they have done. Most of the people, I mean, all of us have come to accept that few of the people who perpetrate these crimes are pathologically of a sort where you can say they're sadists, or they enjoy participating in the commission of crimes. The vast majority of people, it would seem to be normal people who are presented with extraordinary circumstances and then who commit these crimes. And yet, with very, very few exceptions, since 1945, no one is prepared to show any remorse for them. No one. And so we lock them away, or post the Holocaust and events, of course, in Japan. Many were hanged, and yet hardly a single one climbing the steps up to the gallows ever showed any contrition or remorse, or ever believed that they were anything but innocent. And so there's something missing in this puzzle. And I think we need to discuss it. And just punishing them is not enough. We have to make them say, you know, I am guilty of the most terrible crimes. And I'm saying it not because I need a plea bargain, or I want to be excused from prosecution, or I am saying it because given the weight of evidence presented before me, what I did was terrible. And unless victims hear this, there's something missing. And I tried to present this case in the lecture that you've destroyed, basically, in your introduction.
I clearly did. This will not go on YouTube tomorrow.
Well, I can see the camera there.